With a mission to deliver fiscally responsible, highly dependable services to the citizens of our community and the region. With integrity and professionalism, this is the City of Albany Commission Meeting with Mayor Bo Duro, John Howard, Ward 1, Mayor Pro Tem Matt Fuller, Ward 2, BJ Fletcher, Ward 3, Chad Warbington, Ward 4, Bob Langstaff, Ward 5, Demetrius Young, Ward 6, with Interim City Manager Stephen Carter, City Clerk Sonia Tolbert, and City Attorney Nathan Davis. This is the City of Albany Commission Meeting.
Good evening. Welcome to the August 2021 regular meeting of the Albany City Commission. We're honored tonight to have Joshua Bauer, minister
on this meeting tonight. Pour out your Spirit upon all those in attendance that they may be led to know and do your will alone. Lord, permit the words of your prophet Jeremiah to shape and direct this meeting. As your people were being sent into exile by their enemies, Jeremiah gave the people your instructions, saying, "Seek the welfare of the city to which I have carried you into exile. Pray to the Lord for it, because if it prospers, you too will prosper." Mighty God, we find ourselves tonight meeting in the midst of a time of exile. Exiled from the lives we used to lead that we called normal. Exiled from those we loved and lost in the first wave of this pandemic. Exiled in this most recent surge from those we know who are quarantined, isolated, and hospitalized tonight. We ask tonight that you would comfort the grieving, heal the sick, uphold the weary, and give hope to the fearful. Help us, especially in these times, to hear your prophet's voice, calling us to seek the welfare of this city where you've called us, to seek the peace and prosperity of all its people, to pray for it, and to serve you in it. Powerful Redeemer, have mercy on this, your city, and guide every discussion and decision tonight, so that your will may be done in Albany, Georgia, as it is in heaven. We pray this in the magnificent name of Jesus Christ, our Savior and Lord. Amen.
Amen. Which Howard, you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Talbot, could you call the roll, please?
Ward 1.
Here.
Ward 2.
Here.
Ward 3.
Here.
Ward 4.
Ward 4's here.
Ward 5. Ward 5. Ward 6.
Here.
Mayor.
Mayor is here.
Ward 5 is here. I was muted.
Thank you.
Okay. First item on the agenda is consideration. The minutes as consideration for approval. The minutes as presented. Everyone has had an opportunity, I assume, to review the minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved that the minutes be approved as printed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Commissioner Howard.
No discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem.
No discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher.
No discussion.
Commissioner Warbington.
No discussion.
Commissioner Langstaff.
No discussion.
Commissioner Young.
No discussion.
Could we call the roll, Ms. Talbot?
Ward 1.
Yes.
Ward 2.
Yes.
Ward 3.
Yes.
Ward 4.
Yes.
Ward 5.
Yes.
Ward 6.
Yes.
Mayor.
Mayor votes yes. The next item is Ms. Gaskins with us here. Ms. Fields.
Ms. Gaskins is here. I think Ms. Fields or Ms. Kimberly Allen from procurement might also be here.
I see
as
Ms.
well.
Fields. She has entered the building.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Gaskins, you have the floor.
Ms. Fields, I'll let you start out and then I will fill in.
Okay.
Not a whole bunch to say. We asked at the last meeting for you to identify a firm to move forward with, identify number 1 and number 2. which is essentially a number 2 and number 3. I believe all the information was sent to you. The question you asked me, Commissioner Howard, one of them was 103,000, the other one was 102,500. So it's the same as what Lord Ekin Sargent was going to do the project for. Really not, there's not a whole lot of difference in funds for the project. It's a matter of deciding who's going to be the next, who's going to be the people that we contract with. We're asking for you to make your decision.
Ms. Gaskins, anything you want to add?
I just want to hear to answer any questions. As Ms. Fields has said, 2 great proposals. We would like to identify the one or number 2 to add to those. You have one from Raleigh, North Carolina, and the other consultant is from Atlanta, Georgia. We're here to answer any questions that the Mayor and Commission might have tonight.
Okay. Any questions for the presenters? Commissioner Howard.
Good evening, Ms. Gaston. How you do?
I'm great, Commissioner. How are you?
Right. Ms. Field just gave the price. One was $102,000 and one was $103,000. And you said one is from Raleigh and one is from Atlanta?
Yes, sir.
Which one is $102,000?
The one of 102 is 102.5. It's not to exceed 102.5, and they are from Atlanta. That is TSW.
Okay. That's it, Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem, any questions?
No questions.
Mr. Fletcher.
No questions.
Mr. Warmington.
No questions.
Mr. Langstaff.
No questions.
Mr. Young.
No questions.
Ms. Gaskins, in TSW, this is the firm that had done some considerable work in and for the city, right?
That is correct, Mayor. Actually, TSW has a long-standing relationship with the city of Albany. When you go back and look at their platform and the work that they've done with us before, they've actually worked specifically within the downtown. Also, the organization that's going to be doing the analysis for us has also done some work in the city of Albany as well. So there is a standing relationship with the TSW firm that exists currently.
With that, would any member of the commission like to, we have 2 TSW, and what's the other firm, Ms. Fields?
Design workshop.
Design Workshop.
Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to select TSW for the downtown master plan work.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'd second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion regarding the motion to contract with TSW? Commissioner Howard.
No further discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem.
No discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher.
No discussion.
Mr. Warmington.
Nothing further.
Commissioner Langstaff.
Nothing further.
Commissioner Young.
Nothing further.
Could we call the vote?
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2,
Yes.
Ward 3,
Yes.
Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Mayor.
Mayor votes yes. And for background, that was the consideration of the second and third firms recommended by the proposal analysis group, because Lord Ekin Taylor, who was the first choice, had filed bankruptcy after the city made that selection. Would that be accurate, Ms. Gaskins?
Yes, sir, that is correct. Lord Aiken and Sargent is filed bankruptcy. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. All right, next we have,
Thank you.
good evening, Marshal Norman. We have 2 applications, alcohol license. One is Little Whiskey River, Inc., doing business as Little Whiskey River Lounge at 2900 Sylvester Road for liquor, beer, and wine consumption on premises. Mr. Norman, what can you tell us about this, please?
Good evening. Get my glasses out of here. Okay. Yes, this is an application from Little Whiskey River Incorporation, doing business as Little Whiskey River Lounge at 2900 Sylvester Road. Has submitted an application requesting a transfer of full consumption. The applicant is Dana Hart and Dustin Hart. The location, there's no local agent. This type of business is a bar and a lounge. The Planning Department identified the location zone in C3 on Arterial Street and in Ward 1. There are no distance requirements for a transfer. The establishment was previously licensed as Little Whiskey River from 2011 until today. The police have no open investigations. The police calls over the past 12 months was one miscellaneous. The applicant placed an article in the Albany Herald 10 days prior to this meeting as notification to the general public that the application would be considered for approval. The applicant and the location meet the criteria for approval.
Thank you, Ms. Harmon. Any questions? Ms. Howard?
No question.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No questions.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No questions.
Commissioner Warmington?
No questions.
Mr. Langstaff?
No questions.
Commissioner Young?
No questions.
And this is a transfer, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would any member of the commission wish to make a motion to approve the application?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Commissioner Howard?
No further discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No discussion.
Commissioner Warmington?
No discussion.
Commissioner Langstaff?
No discussion.
Commissioner Young?
No discussion.
Could we call the roll, please, Ms. Talbot?
Ward 1,
No.
Ward 2,
Yes.
Ward 3,
Yes.
Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Mayor.
Mayor votes yes. The next is an application from, I think, Sri Don Investment, Inc., doing business as Save Right, for a beer and wine package license for the premises at 427 South Westover Boulevard. What can you tell us about this, Marshal?
Yes, sir. They have submitted an application requesting a transfer of packaged beer and wine. The applicant is Dashandra Bharat at 3 Aberdeen Circle, Cordell, Georgia. The local agent is Bianca Porter at 811 West Gordon Avenue. The type of business is a convenience store. The Planning Department identified this location zoned in C3 on Arterial Street and in Ward 4. There are no distance requirements for a transfer. This establishment was previously licensed as Save Right from 2009 until today. The police department has no open investigation at this location. The police calls over the past 12 months were 3 persons crimes. The applicant placed an article in the Albany Herald at least 10 days prior to this meeting as notification to the general public that the application would be considered for approval. The applicant and the location meet the criteria for approval.
Any questions? Mr. Howard?
No question.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No questions.
Mr. Fletcher?
No questions.
Mr. Warmington?
No questions.
Mr. Langstaff?
No questions.
Mr. Young?
No questions.
Would any member of the commission wish to make a motion to approve this application?
I make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Commissioner Howard?
No discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No discussion.
Commissioner Langstaff? Commissioner Warmington?
No discussion.
Commissioner Langstaff?
No discussion.
Commissioner Young?
No discussion.
Could we call the roll, Ms. Talbot?
Ward 1,
No.
Ward 2,
Yes.
Ward 3,
Yes.
Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Mayor.
Mayor votes yes. Thank you, Mr. Norman.
Yes, sir.
Next item is a proposal to amend Article 4 of Chapter 4 of the City Code so as to revise the sign ordinance to include text amendments regarding total number of allowable multi-message signs to the variance process and to adjustments in maintenance standards. What can you tell us about this, Mr. Forgy? Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. This is a request to amend the sign ordinance, Albany's sign ordinance, to change a number of things that have been summarized at the previous meeting. For the most part, the major changes are increasing the number of multi-message signs allowed, increasing the replacement number of multi-message billboards for regular billboards from 2.5 billboards replaced to 3.5 billboards replaced to put up a multi-message sign. Also including a variance procedure. That's one of the most significant changes. Currently, the ordinance does not have a variance procedure. This would give it that. It would be an administrative variance, but it also would provide a procedure then. If people disagreed with my decision, they could go to the Planning Commission with their request. If you'd like to ask me any specific questions, if you have any concerns or questions about any other aspect of the proposed amendments, I'd be happy to entertain them.
Thank you, Mr. Forgy. Any questions for Mr. Forgy? Mr. Howard?
Mr. Powell, would you state again, you said you making the variance for administration decision to go, if they disagree with your decision, that it would go back to the planning commission?
Yes, sir. The process is an administrative variance. They would ask me for a variance from the rules, and if I didn't grant that, they could appeal my decision to the planning commission.
Okay. Okay, that's it.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No questions.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No questions.
Commissioner Warmington?
Yep, Mr. Forgy, so it looks like the planning commission approves 6-0.
Yes, sir.
I don't think anybody spoke to us in our public hearing. Did they have anybody speak in favor or against it?
No, we have had very little public participation. We did reach out to people who were interested in the sign ordinance last time and got a few responses that way, but we had a public meeting, and people watched it on Facebook but made no comments, and nobody showed up, and nobody showed up to the planning commission meeting.
Okay, all right, thanks. That's it, Mayor.
Commissioner Langstaff?
Nothing further.
Commissioner Young?
Yes, sir. Mr. Forgy, does this affect any of the, I guess, what we're seeing at the convenience stores with the windows that are wrapped completely with advertisement and other things like that?
The change in the ordinance would not. That would just be a matter of enforcement. I believe the ordinance only allows them to cover 50% of their windows. So if the percentage is higher than that, then that would be a code violation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Forgy.
You're welcome.
Would any member of the commission wish to
I
Offer
offer
the
the
ordinance.
ordinance and ask for its unanimous consent to dispense with the second reading and ask for its adoption.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Commissioner Howard?
No further discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No discussion.
Commissioner Warmington?
No discussion.
Commissioner Langstaff?
No discussion.
Commissioner Young?
No discussion.
Could we call roll, Ms. Talbot?
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2,
Yes.
Ward 3,
Yes.
Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Mayor.
Mayor votes yes. The next item on the agenda is a conditional item. It is authorizing staff to submit certain grant applications. Ms. Fields and Ms. Strassenberg. Ms. Strassenberg not with us?
No, I'm gonna do this myself. We received notification that there are some monies available from the, let me get to it, from the Governor's Fiscal Recovery Fund, and in order for us to apply, and we had 3 categories we want to apply in. For us to apply, we need your permission to submit our application and to accept whatever monies we are awarded should they come in. We're applying in the water sewer infrastructure category for up to $9.7 million. We are applying in the broadband category as a joint request with the county for $5 million, and in the economic impact category, and we're working with CBB and others for upwards of $5 million for the enhancement and expansion of cultural tourism opportunities in Albany. Applications are due on August 31st. That's why this is a conditional item. We'll try to do better.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Fields. Any questions? Commissioner Howard?
No question.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No questions.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No questions.
Commissioner Warmington?
No questions.
Mr. Langstaff?
No questions.
Commissioner Young?
Yes, ma'am. Which part of the, I guess, staff member put together the application and the proposals for the different projects? Or is this just something that we have to just fill out an application and ask?
Well, it's kind kind of yes to both of your questions. The staff, it's a joint effort amongst several members of the staff to do each of these different parts. But it is just an application, but the application involves us giving some background information as well. So they have been working, we have been working for the last week to get the applications together.
Mm-hmm. So do we have any like details on a particular project? How are we applying? Are we applying per project, or we're just asking for a general amount of funds to utilize for those, different needs?
We're applying for, like I said, up to 9.7 for our CSO project,
Mm-hmm.
For the engineering services part of it. We're applying for broadband to expand our broadband, especially into South Albany and the areas that are underserved.
Mm-hmm.
And we're applying for the economic development for downtown.
Okay, thank you, that's all.
I do think we need to go ahead and act on this tonight. I mean, the thing is, under the tourism, it's my understanding that our request was for the Ritz Theater, but you've expanded it, which is okay, for the Harlem Business District.
Harlem Business District, yes.
Okay. Now, Commissioner Young asked you, was there something about the application was limited to 250 words? Was that wrong?
I don't remember that.
Okay, that is correct?
It says yes.
Yeah, so what? Yeah, but I just want to say that, Commissioner Young, it had to be very brief. That's what the consultants pointed out to us, and I thought that was kind of strange to be asking for this amount of money and have that limitation on it. But with that, it is something that's time sensitive, and with that, I would make a motion to authorize staff to submit the applications to the governor's fiscal recovery grant fund program.
I'd second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Commissioner Howard?
No further discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No discussion.
Commissioner Worthington?
No discussion.
Commissioner Langstaff?
No discussion.
Commissioner Young?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I just want to make the point again that this is part of President Biden's American Rescue Plan money that came to the state of Georgia, and this is another part of the funding that was available for infrastructure needs, as we talked about during our budget discussions. Again, as we informed you through those discussions, that those funds were going to be available. So the other funds that were discretionary in terms of how they could be spent, specifically the $20 million that we talked about, I will hope that we would look at that for some more discussion in terms of how we can utilize that money to help the community, now that we know we do have infrastructure dollars for the CSO project and other projects. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Young. Could we call the question? Mr. Talbot?
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2,
Yes.
Ward 3,
Yes.
Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Mayor.
Mayor votes yes. The next item on the agenda,
Mayor,
Yes.
may I have a point of privilege here?
sure.
I was going to make a suggestion for the rest of the agenda. If my colleagues could look at 2 through 10, I guess have an opportunity, if there's any comments, questions, I would like to move all, and I can say them out loud if that's the will of the commission, but 2 through 10, move it to the consent agenda. I think we've had sufficient time to discuss, but
Okay.
I don't know how I make that motion, but just if the rest of the commission feels in agreement with that, then certainly I can make the appropriate motion to expand the consent agenda.
Mr. Davis, do we have the latitude to transfer each of these items to the consent agenda? Yes. Okay, if so.
Mayor, you could just move the slate if you wanted to, and we can leave it where it's at.
Don't you
could
think I
vote
know
on
that?
it now.
What, what are we doing?
He could just move the slate,
Okay.
and we can vote on it right now instead of moving it.
All right, so my motion would be items 2 through 10, and I guess I can go through them real quick. Doherty County Hazard Mitigation Plan, speed tables on Phillips, speed tables on Lippet Drive, the shuttered venue recovery funding, supplemental funding for Brownfield grant, comprehensive 5-year plan, professional services and hardware, transit procurement policy changes, and then 508 Pine Avenue to become surplus. I make a motion to approve all those 2 through 10.
Second.
Any discussion, Commissioner Howard? Sir? Did you say something, Mr. Carter? Okay, okay. Any discussion, Commissioner Howard?
No discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem,
No discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher,
No discussion.
Commissioner Warmington,
No discussion.
Commissioner Langstaff.
Only to say that I think the form, he just ought to say he offers those resolutions and asks for their adoption.
All right, I'll modify my motion and say it properly. I won't go through all of them again, but items 2 through 10, I offer the resolution 2 through 10 and ask for all of their adoption.
Second it again.
Okay. Starting again. Any questions, Commissioner Howard?
No question.
Any discussion? Mayor Pro Tem,
No discussion.
Mr. Fletcher,
No
Mr.
discussion.
Warmington,
No discussion.
Mr. Parliamentarian,
No discussion.
Commissioner Young.
I guess I'm a little confused. I thought we had to vote on whether or not to add them to a consent agenda and then vote to adopt them. We don't have to do that in two, because I thought that's what he was doing at first.
Well, that's what I was doing at first, but then I modified and just as per the direction or encouragement is to leave them where they're at and just
Right.
approve the whole slate under the resolution section.
Okay. I think we do need to have a little discussion on the number 7, the comprehensive plan, comprehensive 5-year plan update. And I don't know who would be speaking to that, but I think we just needed to have some of that information available. Is that Mr. Ford?
Hold on, Mr. Ford, if you would.
Just as we've done before, we pulled one out, maybe.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what I was thinking.
And that would be the only, I guess, amendment to that adoption.
Is that sufficient, Ms. Warmington?
Yeah, it can be just handled under discussion, can it?
Okay, all right, so we.
This is not,
But I-
this is not technically a consent agenda now. We're just offering all the
I
resolutions.
thought we would
And if there's
change the motion to move 2 through 6 and 8 through 10.
Well, like you said, can we just have just that discussion as Mr. Forgy came up and then go on with the vote?
Well, I would think you either had to move this later, take them separately, but let's get this straight. Don't want to make a mistake here. Ms. Davis, what's your recommendation?
That you move the slate minus the one that
Yeah.
Commissioner Young wants discussion.
Could we do that?
All right, so I'll modify my motion again. I ask for the resolution 2 through 6, pull out number 7, and then 8 through 10, and ask for adoption of those.
Off the resolution. Is there a second? Chair would second?
Oh, second.
Okay. Motion is second. Any discussion, Commissioner Howard?
No further discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem,
No discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher,
No discussion.
Commissioner Warmington,
No discussion.
Commissioner Langstaff,
No discussion.
Commissioner Young.
No discussion.
Could we call the roll? Ms. Talbert?
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
Yes.
Mayor?
Mayor votes yes. The one item that was removed from the slate was, of course, the consideration of the comprehensive 5-year plan update. Mr. Forgy, could you give us the background information on what we're doing here?
Good evening again. So this was discussed at your work session last week. This is the 5-year update to the 10-year comprehensive plan. Every 10 years, the city is required to create a comprehensive plan, and every 5 years, it's required to check in with that plan. And specifically, what is looked at is called the Community Work Program, which is a 5-year list of items that the city and county, it's a joint comprehensive plan, the governments want to undertake. So included in this is also what's called a report of accomplishments, which looks at the previous 5 years and states whether or not the items to be completed over the past 5 years were completed, or they were postponed, or they were deleted. And then the community work program is the next 5 years. That's the majority of what this is. The state outlines a process that it has to go through. We got an extension for 3 months. This was due, well, this is not due to be approved until the end of October, but we are extended till that time. Because of COVID, the whole process takes about 1.5 years to go through the whole steps. The regional commission assisted us with this, and we've been working on it for the past 1.5 years.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Forgy? Thank you, Mr. Forgy. Commissioner Howard.
Thanks, Mr. Forgy, for your wisdom in the update. And
Mayor Pro Tem.
No questions.
Commissioner Fletcher.
No questions.
Commissioner Warrington.
No questions.
Commissioner Langstaff.
No questions.
Commissioner Young.
Yes, sir, Mr. Forgy. I guess the question I had was in terms of our work with the county to bring forth this comprehensive plan. How did that work, or can you give me some information on, are we sitting down with them? Is this happening between our 2 administrative heads, or how does that work?
When we do a full comp plan, there's much more engagement like that. So that's not what we did this time. That was 5 years ago, or 5 years from now as well. In that case, we would sit down with both boards. I mean, we met with both boards through the process, but we would try and get a joint meeting of both boards together where they can talk about joint issues. The administrators would be encouraged to attend meetings that we would hold. They would be stakeholders as part of the update process. In this update process, because this is a much briefer process, it's just a check-in of the work program, they were made aware of everything and they were asked to give comments, but there was no forced collaboration or even invited collaboration, particularly because of COVID. We have been struggling, in good times, we struggle to get public input. But with people being afraid to go to meetings, with it difficult to assemble any kind of meeting, we have not had the best luck with public input.
Okay. And so moving forward in this, I guess, next 3 months, are we going to do that, or are we planning on something just for that engagement, or can we do that?
No, at this point, the public can still make comments, the elected officials, administration can still make comments, which we could include in the plan, but we're at the point now where both governments would pass a resolution to transmit the draft plan to the Regional Commission and the Department of Community Affairs for their review. And they will look at it and send it back to us, and we have to adopt it by the end of October. So we can technically add things if we want to between now and October, because it's not adopted until the end of October. Okay. So it's still open for public comment, but the official public comment period is over because we had a public hearing last night and we had one in June, and we've been emailing and corresponding with stakeholders over the past year.
Okay. All right. That's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Forgy.
You're welcome.
Now, would any member of the commission like to offer the resolution?
Mayor, offer the resolution and ask for its adoption.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Commissioner Howard.
no further discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem.
No discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher.
No discussion.
Commissioner Warrington.
No discussion.
Commissioner Langstaff.
No discussion.
Commissioner Young.
No further discussion.
Mr. Forgy, thank you for the and planning for the hard work on this project. With that, would we call the roll, Ms. Talbot?
Ward 1?
Yes.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Ward 3,
Yes.
Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Mayor.
Mayor votes yes. Now we move to the consent agenda. Three items on the consent agenda.
I move the consent agenda, Mr. Mayor.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Commissioner Howard?
No discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No discussion.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No discussion.
Commissioner Warburton?
No discussion.
Commissioner Langstaff?
No discussion.
Commissioner Young?
No discussion.
Could we call the roll? Ms. Talbot?
Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward 2,
Yes.
Ward 3,
Yes.
Ward 4,
Yes.
Ward 5,
Yes.
Ward 6,
Yes.
Mayor.
Mayor votes yes. And under other business, we have a conditional item. Mr. Warburton and Mr. Carter, staff is seeking authorization to research and recommend alternate streaming sources for the broadcasting of meetings.
Good evening, Commissioners. We're
Good
here
evening,
to present
Mr. Dawson.
Sir,
Okay, let me introduce
I'm sorry.
John Dawson, interim IT director. He's not on the, I'm sorry I didn't identify you, recognize you. Mr. Dawson, you going to take this item?
Yes, sir, Mayor.
Okay.
We've been asked to provide an alternative streaming platform for the broadcasting of the city commission meetings. My staff, in conjunction with the PIO office, we found a solution called Boxcast. We believe this solution allows us to provide the city meetings streamed to multiple sources, primarily the city website, which you have in front of you today. I believe this also allows us to be transparent and to answer some of the concerns that the commission raised during the last meeting. And as you see, we actually have it working right now. It's actually broadcasting this meeting. And if the booth hits play, you'll see that it actually allows us to broadcast live meetings inside of the city webpage. We've disabled the audio because we don't want to have any echo, but as you can see, we have a solution that's full and it's working. We can also attach items to it, like agenda. So if you want to, or if you have questions about what's actually being played, you can actually click on the link below it and you can pull a document. So if we wanted to attach the agenda for this meeting, we could just below the embedded video there. You also see that we do have the option to store videos, so we can also retain our meetings going back in the past. So if someone wants to pull up a meeting from last year, they can. So there is cloud-based storage as well. So I'm here to answer any questions you have about the Boxcast solution.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson. Mr. Carter, do you want to add anything?
Yes, the only thing I'd like to add is that whether or not we adopt this solution tonight, we're still going to use this page as a repository for our meetings. We've created a friendly URL for that. It's called albanyga.gov/meetings. So any meetings that we produce from this point on will be available on that site.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Any questions for Mr. Dawson and Mr. Carter? Mr. Howard?
Mr. Dawson, you said it was called what again now?
It's called Boxcast, B-O-X-C-A-S-T.
Okay, that's it?
Mayor Pro Tem?
What is the cost of this, if anything?
The current plan is actually a subscription base. We're paying $149 per month, so it's very cost effective.
Okay, thank you, that's all.
Mr. Fletcher?
No questions.
Mr. Warburton?
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Dawson. So just a couple of questions, just if I were an average citizen user. So if this is what we're playing like on my phone, is there a way to maximize that or?
Yes, sir. You can go full screen inside of a web browser or on your phone, as they're demonstrating here. But it does display well on mobile devices also, so that capability is there.
Okay. I did have one citizen who mentioned that, you know, that they're accustomed to watching this on YouTube on their TV. You know, a lot of the newer TVs have the apps. How would an individual, or could they watch this on a smart TV or?
You could. Usually the smart devices allow you to cast from your phone. You could do it that way. Boxcast actually has apps that the city of Albany could actually purchase, and we could have our own Boxcast app. It actually works with Roku, Apple TV. So we have tons of options with this platform.
Okay. So up until tonight, we don't own any previous content. So even like last meeting, we don't own it.
We did.
Oh, so we have a place we're storing it, or the previous meetings?
Yes.
Okay, because I know Facebook obviously stores it.
Right.
But
Matter of fact, the links that's on there, I'm sorry. Matter of fact, the links that you see on there now are from previous meeting. I think one is from the utility board and one from a previous meeting we had here.
okay, so how far back do we own footage? Have we been recording it, or is it just?
It's per platform, so we usually do Zoom. That's what we're using for our current meeting right now. The plan that we have is actually, it gives you a certain capacity. So I think we got like 100 gigs, but as long as you don't fill up that container, you know, they'll keep them forever. But we also periodically move those onto local file storage, like our servers here at the city, so we can store them indefinitely.
Okay. So if there were any event that the city wanted to broadcast, you would need to do it in this room with your equipment that's in the sound booth?
No, sir. With this solution, they have what we call encoders. They're just small devices that you can plug an HDMI cable in, and you can stream anything as long as you have an internet connection. So if you have a camera, a TV, a computer, anything with an HDMI outsource, you can actually stream that to Boxcast. So if we had a computer, we ran a cable to the encoder, we could actually embed it into the city website. If the PIO, for instance, wanted to go on the site, there's also a Boxcaster app. She can pull out her phone and she can start, and it'll go straight to Boxcast. And Boxcast also, it's like a centralized streaming platform. So we can stream on Boxcast, but Boxcast then sends that to additional sources for us. So in addition to the city webpage, we could do YouTube, for instance. So.
Okay. So the one thing I like about what you're saying is that with this platform, we're in control of documenting it, saving it, owning it, broadcasting it. Even if we want to broadcast, like we had the crime meeting the other day with our state legislators in the other room, that could have been broadcast using, even though it was in a different room, y'all still could have broadcast that. And, you know, of course, the county may or may not want to join in with us, but certainly if we showed that this is good for the city, it'd be good for citizens, for both entities, possibly, maybe even school system or what have you. But at least for us, this is, I think, a great solution y'all have come up with.
Yes, sir. As I stated earlier, as we've researched this platform, we're going to use this platform regardless of the vote tonight as to how you deal with Facebook, because it gives us that versatility that we need, gives us the storage options and control of that we need, and also allows our processes to expand greatly beyond this room. So right now we're kind of confined to this room as far as that's concerned, but now with this particular platform, we get to expand the boundaries of that, and we can broadcast anything we choose to broadcast from this point on.
Okay, so I guess to expand the conversation, y'all got a great platform. You've already taken care of that. It's a done deal.
Yes, sir.
So the question is, what do we do with this? And so I guess, what is your recommendation, or what do you need from us? Are you saying it's just on our website and that's it? Or
it's on the website today.
Right.
What the discussion was whether or not we're going to continue to use Facebook as a platform. So the only thing we need from you guys today is to determine whether or not you want to continue to use Facebook as a platform. Again, we're going to use this as a platform regardless, but we will simulcast to Facebook if it is your desire to continue to
so
use Facebook.
As a citizen or even a Facebook user, I guess, could you put this link? And and
that's exactly what we did tonight, because we had some trouble with Facebook. We put a link on Facebook that told them where to find it. Exactly.
Okay. But then on Facebook, you couldn't be on the Facebook platform either commenting or sharing or what have you. It would just take you to the link, and then you would go to this, and
that's it. Yes,
you're
sir.
welcome to watch it. Welcome to, right. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. That's it, Mayor. Thanks.
Mr. Lane, staff.
No questions.
Ms. Young?
Yes, sir. Thank you, gentlemen, for, I guess, finding this solution. I guess the only thing I would have a caveat to some of what was said was that we basically had all of that functionality through YouTube in terms of storing our videos. And I assume that since we started casting from YouTube and those other platforms, we have been able to have a repository as soon as we started streaming. Am I correct?
You're correct. Those cloud options do store video, like Facebook. You can go back and view it there. So you are correct. I was speaking directly to the capabilities of Boxcast, sir.
Yes,
So
sir. Yes, sir. I understand. And you know, I guess the crux of the issue for me is where are the watchers of the videos now? It's all well and good in terms of being able to go to our website and look at it and be able to be in control over it. But it's basically about where our viewers can get to it. Now, does Boxcast have an app, a specific app that they can download and be able to access the video, or are they only able to go through a web browser?
For apps specifically with Boxcast, can you speak to, do they have an app specifically you can download? No, sir, no app.
Okay, and that's the issue that I have. A lot of folks, you know, again, Facebook is the de facto platform for people to be able to access, you know, live content. We've always been able to stream other meetings, other, you know, events directly to Facebook. Of course, everybody knows I do that all the time. I did it this afternoon straight from my phone, and I think the PIO sometimes has done that as well. But again, I think the main issue is whether or not this is going to be a, you know, added step that will hinder our citizens from being able to see this. I think they've gotten used to being able to just go to Facebook, pull it up. They know they get that notification, and they can stream live. A lot of them right now are commenting, where is the link? And I know we had some problems this afternoon, but they are looking for that link to be able to get on Facebook. Now, did we look into seeing how we could disable those comments? Because I think that was the biggest issue on Facebook.
We did research that issue, and there's no way to disable those comments completely. Now, there are some options for moderation. Like you could set it to friends only, followers only, to kind of pare down those comments. But, you know, again, that kind of puts staff in the position of kind of what to allow and what not to allow. But there are some options inside of Facebook for paring it down, but not disabling those comments completely.
Okay. All right. And again, like I said, I don't mind a new option. I don't mind it being a repository. A lot of that has always been available on those particular platforms. But if we're looking to reduce these negative comments, you know, that's one thing. But again, whether or not users who have gotten used to this streaming are going to be able to access as they once were, because everybody's gotten into a routine and getting that notification that the city commission meeting is live on their phone, and they just tap one time and they're there. So that's my concern.
So just to address that concern, if you decide to go away from Facebook as that platform, that link will still be on Facebook, so it will still just be a tap, and it'll take them there where the meeting will be streamed. So it's not that. And even if it's on a mobile device, it's not an app, but it is mobile friendly, meaning that if you're on your phone, it's still going to play in the manner just on a smaller piece of real estate because you're on a phone. So you lose no availability as far as being able to view the
Yeah. My question is not availability. It's about what they're used to. You know, for a whole year now, they were able to count on city commission meeting live from Facebook, you know,
Right.
on their particular platform, because that's, you know, people are creatures of habit, and that's what, you know, kind of worries me. It's almost like if we took the city commission meeting physically and moved it down the street, and then everybody's gonna have to like get in their mind, okay, now I gotta go down here.
Right.
You know, so that's kind of what I'm speaking of.
Understood.
That's it, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Thank you, Mr. Carter. Thank you, Mr. Dawson. Any further discussion?
No further discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Nothing further.
Mr. Fletcher,
Nothing further.
Mr. Warmington.
The number of people tuning in, is that tracked? Does Boxcast track number of viewers?
It does have analytical capability, so yes, sir. It actually allows you to see which platform they're viewing it from, so we could drill down to see how many people are actually viewing it on a mobile device versus a computer, for instance. So those capabilities are there.
Okay. So if you provide the link, Mr. Carter, like you're talking about, the person wouldn't be watching it through Facebook. Facebook would just take them to this link and they would watch it under this.
Correct. It would not be simulcast on Facebook. This would be the place that the link on Facebook would take them to.
Okay. All right. That's it.
Commissioner Langstaff,
No questions.
Ms. Young.
No more questions.
So, I mean, is any action to be taken on this? Mr. Warburton, where do we go from here?
Well, I guess my motion would be to solidify the work they've already done for Boxcast. And the motion would be that our internet site would be the link of where we brought, as a city, that we're broadcasting our meetings. Links could be provided or what have you, but it would always send folks back to our website. That'd be the keeper of the footage, the documentation, or the archiving of the footage. It would all be under our website.
Right. I think what we're really asking for you to decide tonight is if this is going to be the exclusive place for broadcasting meetings from this point forward.
Yeah, so I guess, thank you. The clarity would be, this would be the exclusive point of broadcasting for the city of Albany
Okay.
meetings.
All right.
Are you making a motion?
Yeah, that's a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion? Commissioner Howard,
No further discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem,
No discussion.
Mr. Fletcher,
No discussion.
Mr. Warburton.
Now, I just want to tell you guys thanks. I've looked at a lot of cities, and what I'm seeing right here is very similar to numerous cities that I've looked at how they broadcast their meetings, and I got a lot of feedback on the other side of what we were doing. It would be good to change. So I appreciate the work. This is very professional, very easy for citizens to view and even go back and look at previous meetings. You know, one thing we might want to talk about in the future, there are cities who use this footage as their minutes. That's something else to think about, you know, from the clerk's office. Once we get familiar and this is comfortable, there are some cities that have done away with their written minutes, and this footage becomes the minutes. But that's something we can talk about later.
Remember the process right from going through this with the team here. There are ways to tag certain areas in the video after the fact, so that if you're wanting to just get straight to this conversation we're having, instead of having to stream through the whole video, it takes you straight to that conversation.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think there's numerous opportunities with what y'all are providing to us, so I appreciate the work y'all did. Thank you.
Commissioner Langstaff,
Nothing further.
Commissioner Young.
Yes, sir. I will echo Mr. Warburton's comment, but I would clarify as to the original solution that you found was really always able to do pretty much everything that you're discussing. This was always available in the format that we had before. They were streaming to YouTube, and there was a link that you could go to, or a YouTube video, just as you're seeing now on the city's website. That was always there. This is not a new solution. This is just something else with a different platform. That's all. But again, as I was stating, YouTube, Facebook, those are the popular ways that people access, and that's the point of it that I'm making. Those are the popular ways that you access. So when you change the access, you lose viewers. If this is a government center where everybody knows to come for the city commission meetings on Tuesdays at 8:30 in the morning and at 6 in the evening, people are used to coming up here. But if you take it and move it down the street, that becomes a different access now. Whether people will follow you there, you know, that may be so, but again, it's understand that it's not really doing anything different. It was a great solution from the beginning. They had 3 ways to access. They could go to the government website, as we're doing now, as we're looking at now. They could go to YouTube, or they could go to Facebook. But if we're talking about cutting out Facebook, if we're talking about cutting out YouTube, that cuts out a lot of the majority access for users who are used to going to those platforms, to those very popular platforms. And that's, I think that's what is a lot of the issue here. But I would say we probably, you know, should discuss it more. I think it's part of the continuing discussion that we're planning to have at our retreat in terms of our transparency and how we conduct our meetings. I think it falls into all of that, and to decide how do we want to be as a board. Do we want to make it easy for folks to be able to access their government and be a part of it and engage with it? Or do we want to kind of start jacking with it or messing with it because we feel uncomfortable when we get, you know, certain criticisms, when we get certain, you know, blowbacks? I don't necessarily like it when they say things about me, but, you know, I know they have to have that access or that way of expressing their views. And I just think trying to curtail that is not necessarily a good thing for us in the long run. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Young. I think we probably should have handled this at a work session and voted on it. I do want to say, Mr. Talbert, the meetings weren't televised until last year. Is that correct?
They have been off and on Channel 16 over the years. Some years we pulled them, and you know, then we went back to broadcasting. But Facebook and all that started when COVID hit last year. Okay, but I mean, it was until early last year. Didn't we vote to start televising the meetings again? Yes. Okay, so I mean, I am certainly feel we have. We maybe don't have an obligation, but we should make our meetings available to the general public, and we do that by airing them on Channel 16. I have some real problems with some of the comments, and people say, well, don't read it if it bothers you, but I mean, people say things that are baseless, it's nasty. It's not good for this commission, but it's also not good for the city. And obviously, with the limited capacity, we need to have our meetings televised for the people who would regularly attend meetings. We have the limited capacity. I think this is probably the thing to do, but I would have preferred that we handle this at a work session. It would have been 3 more meetings that we would have still got all these comments, but I don't think prohibiting people from making whatever comment they want to make is the same thing as denying them access of the public meeting, and that's what we're providing. That's what we have provided. So with that, can we call the question? We had a motion.
So,
yeah, okay. Ward 1?
Mr. Mayor, I'm gonna vote no.
Okay.
Ward 2?
Yes.
Ward 3?
Yes.
Ward 4?
Yes.
Ward 5?
Yes.
Ward 6?
I'm going to vote no, but I think we need to have more discussion on it. I'm not adverse to trying to find a different way of doing it, but I think we just need to have more discussion on it.
Mayor?
yes. Okay, is there other business? And we'll get other business, and then we'll get items for future agenda. Other business, Commissioner Howard.
And no other business.
Mayor Pro Tem.
No other business at this time.
Commissioner Fletcher.
No other business.
Commissioner Warrington.
No new business.
Commissioner Langstaff.
Nothing further.
Commissioner Young.
No new business.
Okay. I would, obviously, we're all concerned about this rash of violent crime in the community. There's been some communication, members of the clergy. Actually, now I understand that there's more than one organization of clergymen. And what I would like to do, Mr. Carter, is let's have a community meeting, and we need to partner with folks. We need to be listening. We can support our police department, but we need to get people involved. And, you know, like it says in the book, wisdom in the multitude of counsel. Let's, so if staff can sort of arrange that. We don't have a meeting next week, and I would think maybe next Tuesday night. We just need a place so we can space out, but hopefully have as many folks and do more listening and talking. Yes, sir. Okay. Items for the future agenda. Commissioner Howard.
Mr. Mayor, don't want to say that we was on the same page, but I was going to suggest the same thing. I have been inundated with calls and concern, and I can say as a commission with this rash of crime that we are heading in the wrong direction, and we need to look at public safety throughout the city and the county and say if we don't stand for it now, that will we have a city that we would feel safe upon. And of course, you know, I echo with some of my colleagues, things of that nature. I'm concerned. I'm at a point that we got to do something with the rash of crime, because I was talking with some individuals today, and they said, well, what's going on in Albany, Georgia? I said, well, crime is everywhere. But they say, if we don't get it under control, then I don't want to make a projection, but if it haven't rained on your parade, it's coming. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Nothing further.
Mr. Fletcher.
Well, I would like to say that I'd very much like to be a part of that conversation, and I have a double surgery scheduled on the 31st, which is Tuesday. So if we could do it Monday, or I think maybe, hopefully, I could do Thursday or Friday, but Monday would really, we've all talked, and we're having a public safety meeting Thursday, and I've also been getting calls, and I'd just like to ask, I'd like to be here. Thank you.
Commissioner Warrington.
No future item.
Commissioner Langstaff.
Nothing further.
Commissioner Young.
No future items, but I would like to thank the mayor for acknowledging Black Business Month. We had a proclamation ceremony earlier in the day at 4 o'clock acknowledging some historic businesses here in Albany. Thornton's Barbershop that has been in operation for 73 years, and also Helen's Barbershop, who Miss Helen Young got her start under Mr. Thornton, and she's been in business for 50 years, and both of them have established some great legacies for young African-American entrepreneurs in this city, and we definitely, as a city, should be thankful for their contributions and other contributions of African-American businesses in the city, and we can definitely support them by going to spend our dollars with them and supporting them in our policies and our resources. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Young. With that.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, Commissioner Howard.
One point of clarification when you was talking about within the clergy, and you said, you know, there are two organizations, and I think that we have to look at it from a holistic point of view, is to include individuals of the Jewish community and individuals of the Islamic community, and of course those of the Hindu community, because they are taxpaying and they are voters also.
I certainly didn't mean to limit it to one faith.
Okay.
I think that was understood, wasn't it, Mr. Carter? Yes. Yeah. I mean, well, with that, we will stand adjourned. Thank you for your attendance, participation.